What's up, everyone? It's Noah Daniels.
Hey, y'all, I'm JJ.
Hey, guys, it's Kat.
And we're your hosts of the Real Hauntings podcast, where we bring on guests to share their first-hand encounter ghost stories and supernatural experiences. Now on to the trailer.
I've been warned to not tell this story, but I think because of the way it ends, it's okay to tell this story, because some people say that with certain entities, to speak of them or talk about them or in any way portray them as powerful will attract them to other people. The creepiest thing about it to me is a lot of times it would wait for me to notice it. It would just lay its arm out like this, and then I'd be like, where is it? Where is it? And then I'd see it, and then it would just slither back.
For more information on the Real Hauntings, Real Ghost Stories podcast, make sure you check out real.fm to learn more about our podcast and many other amazing podcasts.
Hi, I'm Jennifer, a co-founder of the Go Kid Go Network. At Go Kid Go, putting kids first is at the heart of every show that we produce. That's why we're so excited to introduce a brand new show to our network called The Search for the Silver Lining, a fantasy adventure series about a spirited young girl named Isla who time travels to the mythical land of Camelot. During her journey, Isla meets new friends, including King Arthur and his Knights of the Round Table, and learns valuable life lessons with every quest, sword fight, and dragon ride. Positive and uplifting stories remind us all about the importance of kindness, friendship, honesty, and positivity. Join me and an all-star cast of actors including Liam Neeson, Emily Blunt, Kristen Bell, Chris Hemsworth, among many others, in welcoming the Search for the Silver Lining podcast to the Go Kid Go Network by listening today. Look for the Search for the Silver Lining on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Let's hang out. Let's hang out. And let's talk about what lessons are found. Let's hang out. And let's listen to two lesbians shout. Let's hang out. Let's hang out.
Welcome back to Let's Hang Out, the podcast that's in your base but not into dudes. I apologize for that. I'm sorry.
I don't even know what that means, but I'm sure.
You don't even know? Come on, Ellie.
I'm sorry.
I'm in your base, killing your dudes. I'm not into dudes.
I get it.
Someone somewhere's laughing
someone
a lot,
will get
and
it.
they're really enjoying
You
it.
had to be
that
there.
Very funny pun.
But
you're welcome, one person laughing at me.
From the East Coast, I'm Ellie Brigida.
And from the West Coast, I'm Lee Holmes Foster.
To those of you who have been with us through this whole journey, thank you as always for listening. If you're a new listener, welcome. We're excited to have you here. And here's what's happening this week. This Week in the Lesdom. This Week in the Lesdom is somewhere we can touch base each episode about things going on with the podcast or otherwise. And of course, we have to be talking about our trivia nights. This week, we have 2 trivia nights in Arlington, Virginia at the Boardroom, Wednesday, November 6th at 6:30 p.m., and at Berkeley, California at Spats, Friday, November 8th at 6:30 p.m. Lee will be hosting that, so you can actually get to meet Lee in person. I know she would love to see you all there. We also have our second Blush and Blue Denver trivia night on Friday, November 15th at 7 p.m. Last one was completely sold out, so make sure you get your tickets for that one. We also have one at El Rio in San Francisco on Monday, November 18th at 6:30 p.m. Lee will also be hosting that one, so come hang out with her. We also have our first ever Winona Earp Trivia Night. We know we have a lot of Earpers in our audience. We're having our first Winona Earp Trivia Night in Columbus, Ohio on November 20th at O'Connor's Pub. So we hope to see you all there. And if you want to host a Winona Earp Trivia Night in your city, make sure you get in touch with us at leshangoutpod@gmail.com. We have our L Word premiere party at Bella Luna in Jamaica Plain on December 8th. That one is already sold out. So you cannot get tickets for that, unfortunately, but we are so excited to have people come and hang out. I'm going to be singing. We're going to do some L-word trivia, and then we're all going to watch the premiere together. I know I'm excited for Generation Q. I know everyone else is excited, so that's going to be super fun. Also, this week, we just got back from the weekend soiree. I just want to say how much of a wonderful time we had there. It was a fantastic weekend full of queer positivity and connections. Some of my favorite classes, we went to a class about building an inclusive queer economy that really got me thinking about where we're taking our money, what we're investing our money in, and investing it back in our community. we always try to do that with supporting other creators on Patreon and hiring queer trivia hosts, trying to host our trivia events at queer bars. But we can always be doing more to really use our dollars, use even bartering, sharing your resources with others. So that was a really big takeaway that I got from this weekend of just trying to create an economy where we're all helping each other, we're all lifting each other up. And that was really amazing. We also got to see a hilarious comedy show, parties every night. Lee, this was her first weekend soiree without her children or her wife. And I will let you say, Lee knows how to party. She surprised me, but we had such an amazing time. We also found out that we are platonically perfect on CoStar. If none of you know what CoStar is an astrological app where you can plug in your chart and see how compatible you are with everyone else. Lee and I have smiley faces on everything except for sexual. And honestly, that makes a lot of sense because love you, Lee, but we're platonically perfect. We also have a code for you to get tickets to see Last Summer at Bluefish Cove. If you live in the DMV area, you can see Last Summer at Bluefish Cove, a play by Jane Chambers. 7 lesbian friends, their idol interrupted by the unexpected arrival of a female alien from the straight world, are cozily gathered for the summer in cottages on the shore at Bluefish Cove. By the end of the summer, nobody is the same. I don't know about you, but that sounds like an amazing show. 7 lesbians on stage, all about it. So if you want to go to that show, it's November 8th through the 23rd, and they're all at dominionstage.org/buy tickets, and you can use the code LesHangout to get $5 off tickets. So we hope that some of you will go see the show, support queer theater, and also help us enrich this queer economy like I was talking about from the weekend soiree. That's what's happening this week. Back to you, Ellie and Lee.
Thanks, Ellie and Lee. We are so excited to bring you episode 5 of season 3, Video Games. Get it? Games.
Games. Video games, and we are so excited to be joined by our special guest this episode, Valerie Lohman. Valerie is a BAFTA-nominated film, TV, and VO actress who is a rising star in the voiceover world. She's best known for playing Edith Finch in What Remains of Edith Finch, and most recently, Jess Blazkowicz in Wolfenstein Youngblood. Valerie, thank you so much for hanging out with us today.
I'm so excited to be here with you two.
Yay! We're excited too.
You're going to come teach us all about video games.
Wonderful. I'm very stoked.
The childhood gamer in me is so excited right now. I feel like I was like gamer city until I hit like 12 or 13. And then I don't know what it was. Maybe it's because like none of my girlfriends wanted to play video games with me. So I was always playing video games with the boys. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to spend time with women. So it's probably because I was gay that I stopped playing. But I know there's a lot of gay gamers out there. So this one's for you.
Should we start there? Because did you grow up playing games, Valerie? Did you grow up gaming hard?
I'm, full disclosure, not very good at playing. And I'm the middle of 3 children. And my siblings, my sister's 9 years older than me, and I have a younger brother who's a year younger, and they're both really good. So we'd have like our PlayStation 1, and they would kick me off. And they wouldn't let me play because I was not good at it. So
how are you supposed to improve if you don't get to play?
Competitive household. So I didn't really grow up playing, and I am really surprised that I didn't because my siblings played a lot. And if you had told me that I was going to end up getting into voiceover for video games, I would have been like, what are you talking about? What? No.
So tell us a little bit about how you did get into voice acting for video games then.
So it's kind of, my whole voiceover journey has been kind of a weird ride. I'm a singer and a musical theater actress. Like, that's what I did growing up, and that's like what I trained in. And I was randomly recording a singing demo, and I had extra studio time, so I wrote like a bunch of fake commercial and fake script copy, and I recorded a voiceover reel that was awful. But from that, I booked like 3 or 4 anime pilots and a bunch of dubbing jobs.
Wow.
Yeah, so apparently it wasn't that awful. And from that, I self-submitted on what would become What Remains of Edith Finch. And when I got that game, it was a tiny, tiny indie game with a small publisher, Giant Sparrow. And after it got released through PlayStation, it just blew up. And then I got the BAFTA nomination, and that's how Bethesda found me for Wolfenstein Youngblood. And it has been a very wild ride. So now, I audition for like all these huge games that it's crazy to me.
We're gonna have you come on and do all of our ad reads.
I love it.
Amazing. And just to clarify too for our audience, you are also a part of the LGBTQ community, correct?
Yes, I am. I am indeed. I identify as bisexual, and I have been dating my girlfriend for the last 3 years. She's the gamer of the relationship, so I
there you go.
Live vicariously through her and her
Does
skills.
she kick you off too?
She laughs at me. She thinks it's cute, though. She's told me, because I've streamed with a bunch of my friends are pro gamers, and they're also voice actors in games, so I've been streaming with them. And my girlfriend just makes fun of me. And then she's like, you need to press X, baby. You're doing very bad.
Here's what we need to do. We'll hang out, and she and I can play video games, and you can hang out with my wife, who is terrible at video games.
Wonderful.
And I choose to believe, because I also grew up playing games a ton, and my brother has always and still is into a ton of games. And we had, we had, oh my god, like old school. We had like the old brick Game Boy, and then we had like the Sega and the PlayStation 1 and like all that stuff. And I had like gaming consoles like through college, and surprisingly then I started dating someone who's like god awful at video games and could not care any less about them. I don't play video games anymore. It's
you have to do it, and there's so many good ones with such good storylines.
No, there really are. And it's funny because actually, like, yeah, I feel like we should. Can I switch us over, Ellie, or am I jumping on your?
You can, but
I'm ruining your whole outline. I'm so sorry.
No, go for whatever you want to go for. I'm just curious. Like, speaking of storylines, what's the storyline of Wolfenstein Youngblood, and why is that such an important video game? Before we jump into our full conversation.
It's such a timely storyline for right now, too.
Yes, it's very political. Okay, so Wolfenstein is a super famous game from the 1980s that Bethesda decided to make a series of, and they have been producing these games for the past several years, and it's about an alternate timeline where the Nazis won World War II. So it starts out in the 1960s, where there's a famous hero, B.J. Blazkowicz, who's on a mission to liberate Europe, America, and just the whole world in general. So that's where the main plotline comes from. And Wolfenstein Youngblood, which is where we come in, is 20 years later in 1980, where Europe is still under Nazi occupation, and America's been liberated, and our father's gone missing. So my character, Jess Blazkowicz, and my twin sister, Soph, basically, we decide to go find our missing father, and we steal a helicopter and fly to Paris, and we fight Nazis. And we're 17 years old.
And you kill a lot of Nazis.
We kill so many Nazis. Quite a lot. It's very bloody, it's very gory, and I curse way more than I do in real life, but it's so much fun.
As I was researching for this, there has been an increase in female representation in video games, but it is really huge to have two powerful teenage female protagonists.
Especially in a first-person shooter. That's not something you get. I mean, I think the only thing I saw growing up like that was Metroid, and in the first one you don't even realize she's a woman.
Yeah, like, not at all.
No, I thought she was...
Until the very end, right? When you finish the game or something.
Yeah, exactly. So it's, like, a big deal, and especially because...
I gamed, you guys. I gamed.
I know, I'm like, Lee, you sound like such a gamer.
You know. Well, and it's like...
I played the first Metroid. It's a great game.
I did, too. I was not very good at it, but I did play it. But yeah, it's a big deal. I mean, it's notoriously been led by B.J. Blazkowicz, who's like the ultimate dude. He's so cool and just so badass, and to have this franchise handed over to two teenage girls that are equally as badass, equally as intelligent and adept, and also still learning about themselves is so exciting. Because at the end of the day, they're two 17-year-old goobers, but they're well-trained.
Well-trained
two 17-year-old goobers just, like,
yeah,
kicking the shit out of some Nazis.
Exactly. There's so much funny banter. Yeah.
Sign me up. It's also, I mean, again, I have not played Wolfenstein at all, but from what I could tell in my research, I also really liked that for being 17 and for being two young women leading this franchise, they didn't seem like overly like hypersexualized the way that like women in an awful lot of games tend to be. Maybe just a little.
No,
you know?
that's very true. As far as anything I have watched, they're very much just, there's nothing sexual about them or sexy. They're just two girls that are trying to find their place in the world, trying to right some wrongs, and it's really just about them as women figuring out their power. And I love that.
Have you played it?
I have. I'm not very good, but my girlfriend played it through in like 3 nights, so I mostly watched her and I jumped in here and there.
Is it weird hearing your own voice coming from a video game that you're playing?
Yeah, mostly because I shout really long curse words in a thick Texan accent. So it's jarring. Because the other thing too is, like, I remember filming all of this. Most of it's motion capture, and I filmed all that in Sweden. And, like, the cast and I had so many inside jokes about it that it's weird to finally hear it finished in context.
I feel like that would weird me out. I can't even get used to listening to us, like, when I'm listening to our episodes back for, like, edits and stuff. I still sometimes, like, forget that it's me.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird disassociation, especially, like, as a voice actor, because, like, I record all of my auditions at home in my weird little makeshift at-home studio, so I'm constantly hearing myself because I'm constantly editing it, so it's kind of a weird disassociation.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, and then there's probably something a little different, too, at least about getting to play a character, right? I mean, when we listen to ourselves and I'm like,
It's
this is
just
me
us, yeah.
talking, and it's like, because I always say, you know, the weirdest thing is when I'm listening to our episodes back and I, like, laugh at something and I'm like, that's me, I'm laughing at me, but I forgot, and it's just me being me, and, it, you know, there's at least something a little better when you're like, that's me playing this character.
That's true. When I listen to myself in podcasts or, like even, like, live video interviews, I'm like, I sound like that? I make those weird sound inflections? Yeah.
Well, and you also just mentioned something that I forget about so much with games these days is so much of voiceover work now isn't just that, right? It's no longer just standing in a studio, like, recording lines of dialogue. Mm-hmm. You're doing motion capture and you're doing, like, physical parts to it as well. How much was involved for the game?
Well, first off, I freaking love mocap. It's, Wolfenstein was the first time I've ever done it, and we shot for 2 weeks in Sweden in a tiny town called Uppsala in a renovated church, because that's where Machine Games is headquartered. So we did all of the cutscenes there, and we had the entire cast there. We would do very in-depth rehearsal processes, and then when we came home to LA, we did all of the standing in the studio gameplay stuff of, like, the breathing hard and shouting random things, but all the cutscenes were shot in Europe.
That is so cool.
It's a lot of fun.
There's a lot of acting, a lot of storylines in video games now. Everything's like very heightened. Like Lee was talking about, like, I feel like one of the first games I ever played was like that duck shooter game. Is that on, like, do you know what I'm talking about?
Duck Hunt.
Duck Hunt.
I know what you're talking about.
Which is like,
oh my god, this is where we're gonna
like,
age ourselves, right? Come on.
Yeah, I know, we're dating ourselves. But it's crazy how much it has really come up.
Yeah.
But I'm also curious, like, speaking of just history of games, when was the first time you really felt like you saw yourself represented in a video game?
Oh my gosh.
I know, intense.
I liked Lara Croft because I just thought she was cool and badass, and I wanted to be her because she's smart and knows what she's doing and also, like, super cool. But I don't know that I have. I don't know. I don't know that I've seen someone that I super am like, that's like me. Not yet.
Because most video games are, like, people fighting.
Yeah.
Well,
so maybe not exactly. But somebody similar to you. I think Lara Croft's a good example.
Yeah.
Like, you could look up to her, even though maybe it's not you per se.
Do you think you have, Ellie?
I feel like I actually talked about this in an article recently, and this is like sort of basic, but whatever. I feel like The Sims, which is like a, you know, computer game, was the first time I felt like you could actually see yourself represented, because they are just people, right? You could create whoever you wanted. They could look however you wanted. They could date whoever they wanted. And that was a big thing for me. I think when I started playing The Sims, I got super into it.
That's very true. I mean, it's so world building and so much creative control.
Which is one of the things that I loved about The Sims. Also, like, I was super, super bisexual whenever I played my Sim. Like, I was honestly a big hoe in The Sims, but that never came to life. Just kidding.
My girlfriend does the same thing. I mean, she still plays her Sims very religiously, and I won't embarrass her, but she's like, her Sims is like a whole world.
Yeah, there's like, you can make your own storylines. You can be whoever you want to be. You can like build your own families and like friends and everything.
Yeah.
Is it ridiculous if I say I've never actually played The Sims?
Really? What?
I played like way back when it was actually just Sim City, and you got to build your little like cities and you know, like roads, and
it's so
I'm gonna put like a building here and like more houses and stuff. I've never played the actual like The Sims that it turned into.
I literally played pretty much every expansion, like from the first Sims and then all the expansion packs. I think I played up to Sims 3, not Sims 4, I think is the most recent one. And that's the only one that I haven't played. But I literally even played Sims Medieval.
They have that?
Wow.
Yes.
I'm so into that. Okay.
It's
Do you
pretty
get to
awesome.
make medieval ladies fall in love with each other?
Yes.
I would have my medieval ladies still be gay. But also, actually, my medieval ladies were bisexual because everyone I talked to, I would just sleep with. It's so bad. But,
Wait, could you put them in armor? Can you make a Sims version? I'm gonna have to look it up. Who's the girl who does the like medieval? They're jousting and they're knights and they like fight. They sword fight. Do you know who I'm talking about?
No clue.
I'm gonna send this to you. Someone somewhere, one of our listeners is gonna send this in. I follow her on like Instagram or something, but she's basically like a female knight in like, you know, if you go to like some
in real life.
I love that.
Well, yeah, in real life, but like in like a fair, right? Like in, you know, like one of those like, oh, you enter and it's like ye old whatever thing that you go into and you get to like walk around and it's like old timey and there's like knights and stuff and she's a knight and there's a whole team of female knights and they're like all insanely attractive and super badass and they like sword fight and shit. And
that seems amazing. I actually think Sims Medieval was a little less progressive. Like I don't think you could make your women not wear dresses, unfortunately. And also they definitely didn't have contraception because every time I slept with someone I would get pregnant.
Nice.
And then I was like, oh, I guess I can't be as much of a hoe in Sims Medieval.
Oh my gosh.
But it was a time. That was like in college too. Yeah,
I didn't even know that was a thing. I'm gonna have to find that because
it's such a great like random expansion pack.
I love that.
And strange. But we should dig into we could talk forever about our weird histories with video games. But let's dig into video games and LGBTQ rep.
Okay, awesome.
So, currently, what's your favorite queer rep in video games? Or some of your tops?
So, I have just started watching all of the cutscenes of Last of Us because Last of Us Part 2 is coming out this year. So I've just started that and I'm already loving that. But I'm obsessed with, my girlfriend's playing through Assassin's Creed Odyssey and Cassandra can romance all the ladies and she's so badass and I'm obsessed with it. They even like quote Sappho the poet and it's
amazing.
It's so cool. So she like fought Medusa the other day and then romanced like the lady she saved and stuff. So
that is amazing.
And it's long too. This game, she's been playing it for months, and so there's so much opportunity for many lady romances.
Is this character are they lesbian, bisexual? Like what's the story?
So because I don't know that I'd consider it open world, but there's a lot of like open world aspects where you can, no matter what gender you play as, romance everyone. So my girlfriend she doesn't want to romance any of the guys because she doesn't think they're attractive. So that's her
and
path.
who can blame her?
And if you don't want to do that,
not
you don't
into
have
dudes.
to do that.
Yeah. So that's her path. But yeah, that's the one I'm obsessed with right now.
Lee, you said you watched the cutscene from The Last of Us, right?
I did.
What are your thoughts?
My thoughts was it was super, super cute. Is that just me? It was super cute. I liked it. I was into it.
That's what it seems like.
I know nothing about the game. I'll be 100% honest. I know literally nothing. All I know is the cutscenes that I watched. And it was cute and I was into it. And I was like, oh, this would make a super cute, like, silly teenage show on the CW. I would watch, let's put it this way, I would watch that show. That's all.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
A video game is just a show that you can control, right?
Exactly.
Yes.
That's what they're turning into.
Yeah.
It's a proper storyline.
Okay, here's what I will tell you about that cutscene is the little hair, pushing the hair behind the ear. Okay, I feel like we should describe the cutscene for anyone who hasn't seen it. They're two girls, they're dancing together, and then they kiss. There's some cute dialogue, but she pushes her hair behind her ear, and I was like, oh, that's adorable. I totally dig that. And then I was very surprised by like how much work went into animating the kiss. I'm like, wow, this is like a better kiss than like some straight actors kissing on shows sometimes. Like when you get like straight actors doing like gay kisses on screen, and you're just like, well, that looked stiff and unconvincing. And I'm like, these aren't even real people. I mean, somewhere under there, I know the technology, there were real people at one point, but I was surprised at how good the animation was. I was like, oh, well, good for you guys.
The funny thing about doing, because those scenes were all mocapped for Last of Us, as far as I'm aware, the funny thing about mocap is you wear like a giant helmet, essentially, and the camera is this far out of your face, so you have to film it like 2 or 3 different times to get a kiss like that. You have to film it like with this headgear on where you like go up as close as possible to the person but can't touch them because they have to get your face reaction, so you have to do the whole like kiss face and all that, and then you have to do it without so that they can get your body movements.
Oh my god,
it's like
stop
a whole
it. That's hilarious.
Thing. Same thing with like touching anywhere on your head. It's a process.
Wait, so they're just like they're pretending basically to touch your hair, like you can't actually touch the hair because it's under the helmet.
Because it's like under the helmet, and this thing's heavy and it's big. So it's like a whole debacle, and then they have to like bring your hand closer in post-production, and it's
that is
crazy.
So cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
Physical intimacy in mocap suits is so finessed.
So do they ever actually kiss, or they never do?
Yes. So usually what they'll do is like they'll film it once with the headgear where you don't actually touch because they need to get the face reactions, and then they'll do it again where you actually kiss to get like the bodies coming together and everything. Usually with something like that.
That is
so
think
of
funny.
all of the work that went into that one gay kiss, everyone.
All for you.
Mm-hmm.
All for all of us.
You're welcome, gays. Wait.
You say it like it was you, Ellie.
It was me. Yeah, I was under that helmet.
You were Ellie? Oh my god.
I know. I love that her
so
name
much.
is Ellie, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
I want to talk about a sort of, in my opinion, awkward kiss scene that everyone was like, oh, so cool. And I watched it. I was like, are you kidding? Mm-hmm. And that's Life is Strange. Did anyone see that one?
I didn't. Paint me a word picture.
Okay, so there's Max and Chloe, who are these two characters, and they are friends, right? But there's obviously sexual tension between them. And Chloe basically says to Max, whenever and whatever you want to try. For example, I dare you to kiss me. I double dare you. Kiss me now. And I'm like, okay. After that, I'm like, oh, it's going to be so intense. Then you can either pick kiss Chloe or don't kiss Chloe. So if you pick kiss Chloe, then Max kisses Chloe, and Chloe immediately feels uncomfortable and backs away and is like, whoa, that was so weird. And I'm like, that's the kiss that everyone's been talking about?
Okay, now I'm not going to tell on myself, and I definitely didn't just immediately go watch the clip because it's like a minute long, whatever. But your word picture was very accurate, Ellie.
Right? Was I describing it well as you're watching?
Super well, like actually like very, very well. Mm-hmm. Also, that's exactly what I'm talking about, is like that was stiff and unconvincing.
Yes.
There's no animation involved.
I haven't seen it yet because I just bought it because my friend voices Kate Marsh in it. So I'm like, haven't played it yet, but I'm like eager to play now that you brought that up.
Yeah. But and that's so like the big gay moment. And I'm like, wait, that's it? Like,
okay.
Yes.
What?
It's not
but
much.
I guess we're just starved for it, that we're like, they kiss once. Yes.
I was just talking about that in another interview where we were talking about how like it's so, I don't want to say minuscule because I think we're making big leaps in queer representation in games, but there's still very few fully realized and fully developed storylines that I'm waiting. I want it now.
So even the ones where you choose your own, that's not enough for you because you want it to be like explicitly written in the storyline. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, I think everyone deserves to have representation, and video games can be such a reflection of us because more than film and TV, you put yourself into the role because you are actively playing. And yeah, I want a fully developed queer storyline that has great cutscenes that's super gay. I want it, and I want it now.
It's not too much to ask.
No.
And if it could be of Lara Croft, I certainly wouldn't say no. I mean, let's just be honest.
If it was, I think I'd keel over.
Tomb Raider should have been gay.
Wait, did we do Tomb Raider already? Is Tomb Raider on our list for
We have not, but add it.
How?
Add it.
There's
Angelina.
Look.
I mean,
even before Angelina, even just when Tomb Raider were just the games, you're not going to convince me Lara Croft is straight.
Oh, no. No way. The braid?
Not a chance.
Agreed.
No.
The outfits, the guns, the boots.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Come on.
I agree.
She gay.
Yeah.
I would play a gay Lara Croft game. That's all I'm saying.
Yes.
I would convince my wife that we need to go out and buy whichever
console
platform. Yeah, whichever thing it's on, we're gonna buy it, and I'm gonna buy the game, and I'm gonna play the game.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I want it.
And consoles are like $800 now, so like that's not like a light commitment to this.
No.
But still.
You come to the New Yorker Radio Hour for conversations that go deeper with people you really want to hear from, whether it's Bruce Springsteen or Questlove or Olivia Rodrigo, Liz Cheney, or the godfather of artificial intelligence, Geoffrey Hinton, or some of my extraordinarily well-informed colleagues at The New Yorker. So join us every week on the New Yorker Radio Hour, wherever you listen to podcasts.
Hey, do you like true crime? Me too. And I know what you're thinking. There's so many true crime pods out there, you've already heard all the stories. Well, what if I were to tell you you're wrong? I'm Leroy Luna, the host of Excuse Me, That's Illegal, the podcast that takes a hardcore look at softcore crime. I've got a back catalog of hundreds of bizarre and hilarious stories just waiting to be heard by you. So come join me. Excuse Me, That's Illegal is available anywhere you get your favorite podcasts, with new episodes dropping on the 10th, 20th, and 30th every month, baby!
With something like 5 million podcasts, finding a really good one can take a ton of time. So let me recommend one. It's called Something You Should Know. I'm the host, Mike Carruthers, and in each episode, we discuss topics that can be really helpful, like how to read people better, the psychology of crowds, or fun things like the story of Legos, or why you probably wouldn't be here if it weren't for horses. Something You Should Know is the name of it, wherever you get your podcasts.
Hi, I'm Laura Cathcart-Robbins, and I am the host and creator of the podcast, Only One in the Room. Every week, my co-host Scott Slaughter and I invite you to join us and lose yourself in someone's only one story. The Only One in the Room has a wide variety of guests, from prisoners to abuse survivors to swingers. With 21 seasons and counting, we guarantee that Only One in the Room will have a story that you'll connect with. This podcast is for anyone who has ever felt alone in a room full of people, which is to say that this podcast is for everyone.
I was doing some research before this about the 15 queerest video games ranked in The Advocate. Mm-hmm. And now that you say that, I'm looking at all of them, and most of them are minor scenes or minor characters. Even the first, this is sort of interesting, I thought. The first lesbian character in video games was in 1986. And it was in Moon Mist.
I heard that recently, and the game was almost lost. Or
really?
Something like that. Yeah, someone brought that up, that it was like a... I feel like there was that or something else, that like there was a couple games from the 80s that had queer representation that just haven't almost didn't survive.
Yeah, but I thought it was really interesting, and it basically was like a side lesbian character who was fighting with her girlfriend in one of the scenes, but her girlfriend was about to get married to a man, and like that was the representation that we got.
Okay, wait, is this like when they say, what was it that just came out, Finding Nemo sequel or something, where they were like, the queer rep and people are like protesting them, and it's literally like in the background, like, you know, like somewhere deep in the back of a scene of like something else that's happening, you like happen to see two moms with like a child, and people are like, we're gonna boycott the movie, and you're like, that's not even that's not a thing. Like, stop acting like that counts. That doesn't count. It's not like, you know, half the people even notice. It's not like we're running out in droves to be like, I'm gonna see myself finally.
No. Well, I believe I heard recently, and it was cut in certain countries for obvious reasons, but I believe that the first gay Marvel character was someone in a support group who had 3 lines at the beginning of Endgame.
Yes.
It was ridiculous. It was definitely in the version that I saw.
Okay.
And I was watching it and I was like, wait, they're really trying to pass this off as like, oh, look at this rep. It was just like a guy being like, yeah, it's been really hard for me and my boyfriend now that everyone's dead. And everyone was like, oh, there's a gay guy. You're like, what the hell? And that was it. And then he was gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's that sweet, sweet rep we've been waiting for.
Yeah. Like, I don't even know if he had a name.
Oh, no. I haven't watched it yet. I'm a big Guardians of the Galaxy fan, and I haven't, like, had a moment to sit there and watch those two. But I'll see that moment at some point.
Yeah. And it's like, it's really...
a blip.
Yeah. You could cut it, and it does not matter. The movie is still exactly the same. So we've talked about this plenty of times before, like, because Captain Marvel, like, needs to be gay, and they're never going to go for it.
Is gay.
There was literally an article today that was like, Captain Marvel introduces a new LGBTQ character, and it's a side character in the film. And I'm like, no, it's freaking Carol.
Watch your own movie, people.
I am excited for Tessa Thompson to, like, find her queen.
Yeah, finally.
I'm obsessed with that.
Finally.
She's so pretty.
Yeah, she is a queen herself. So.
She is. Yes. She is.
Yes.
Oh, I love her so much.
I want to briefly talk about a few other video games that I found.
Okay.
And if you've played them or have heard of them, we can talk about them.
Great.
So one of them was Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. Have you heard of this?
I've heard of it, but I did not know there was queer representation.
So it said... Juhani was one of the first lesbian Jedi. So if you're playing a female character in Knights of the Old Republic, you can romance Juhani. I don't know.
Very nice. Okay.
But something that I found really interesting about this is that it said early versions allowed male characters to court her, but that was identified as a bug and corrected.
Oh my god.
And I just love that. This was in 2003. And I just think it's so funny that, like, heterosexuality was a bug in the game. And they were like, oh, shit, we have to fix that.
I have so many thoughts on that I, like, can't even figure out where I want to start.
Yeah.
Who do we file a bug report for?
Yeah, like, can you imagine, like...
men hitting on lesbians in real life,
playing the game. Yeah, playing the game and being like, I'm a male character. I shouldn't be able... Like, who reported it? Who was like, that's definitely a bug?
Yeah, I want to know who found that.
Yeah.
What we want to know is who's the lesbian who saved the day.
Yes. Who's the savior?
Yes. But I thought that was awesome. Also, Star Wars, like, that makes me feel great that there's a lesbian Jedi. That's pretty badass.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
And then Overwatch apparently has a character, Lena Tracer Oxton.
Okay.
And her girlfriend Emily was tied in the comic book. And then there's another one, Mass Effect. Have you ever played Mass Effect?
I know of it, but I've not played it yet.
So apparently in Mass Effect, you have the ability to have same-sex relationships, and there is Dr. Liara Tassoni, who is from an all-female race that can reproduce with both genders.
I love that.
Right? I just feel like that's a really cool thing in general.
Yeah.
And I think brings up a good point of, like, you can do whatever you want in a video game.
Mm-hmm.
In the same way that we talk about you can do whatever you want in a movie, where people are like, oh, it's sci-fi, you can't have gay people. And I'm like, okay, but you can have an alien. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So I thought that was pretty cool.
I love that.
And then there's also Dragon Age.
Yes, I know. I know that they have a couple LGBTQ characters, right?
Yeah, so I was just reading about this. Have you played it?
I have watched a million cutscenes from it. So
Nice.
I'm starting to get into it.
So have you seen any of the cutscenes with Creme in them?
Not yet.
So Creme is a trans man. It was pretty interesting reading about it because basically they don't really talk too much about the fact that Creme is a trans man. Mm-hmm. They're just like, Creme is a man. And his backstory is that he was born female. But there's a line that he says that says, in his society, trans men are real men just like you or me.
I love that.
Yeah.
Oh, that makes me so happy.
Right? And I just wonder, like, how that affects trans people who are playing the video game.
Yeah. I think that's so special, too. And I think it's important to just not make it a big thing. This is a person who's having, like, a life experience. And it doesn't matter what gender they were born as. It's such like an honor to see that who they identify as and who they are is being honored. I love that. And I love that it's not made a big deal and they just are who they are. I love that. That makes me so happy.
I was really happy when I read about that.
Yeah. When you think about it, because there's so many games, right? And I think like Sims is a great example and things like this. There's so many games where you have so much functionality. Like there are so many things, there are so many facets to the gameplay, and it feels like you can do everything and anything.
Yeah.
Right? But realistically, I mean, a video game is like anything else that's been programmed. Like if somebody didn't think of it, it's not going to be put in there.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
And so there's so many things where it's like someone consciously has to say, okay, well, that also could be an option. Like if you're playing as a female character, the option to also, like hit on a female character that should also be there. And if they don't think, like if nobody makes the huge mental leap required to get there, right? Like it's not there. It's just not there.
And I think we're close to it too, because with the rise of all of these indie studios that are getting picked up by larger studios, we're finding indie companies. Like I was saying, Edith Finch, it was Giant Sparrow was a tiny indie company. It brought unique voices. And there's so many indie companies now that have LGBTQ people programming games and developing storylines and women in writing positions that are having their voices heard in these indie platforms that have the capacity to blow up and become something huge and marketable. And what's so exciting is these things are starting to make money and studios are starting to realize that, hey, there's a thirst for this. So I think we're getting there.
Tell us a little bit about Edith Finch. What's the story of it?
Okay, so Edith Finch is a walking simulator game that is about a 17-year-old girl, Edith, that's me, and all of her family has died in weird ways throughout her life. And she left her house around, I believe, 4 or 5 years prior. She had a huge falling out with her family, and her mom and her hit the road. Her mom passes away, and she's pregnant and alone and 17, and she's given a key to go back to the house to figure out why everyone has died. And she's been told all her life that there's a family curse and something's wrong with her family, so it's about her exploring her history and where she comes from and relaying all this information to her unborn child. Ooh, so it's very spooky.
Wow.
It's a very good Halloween game. It's really sad. It's a really, really sad game.
Yeah, that sounds so sad.
It's really depressing. Everyone dies. So if you're prepared for that, and it's really short. It's about 2 hours of gameplay. It's really short. It's like a movie. Yeah.
Well, I was like, what happens? But we'll let people.
Oh yeah, I won't spoil the ending. Yeah. It's really good. I cried and I knew what the ending was. So
intense.
Yeah, and
you're like, I cried and I made it.
Didn't you say it's on PC?
It's on everything. I think it's even on Switch now. I think they just released it for Switch.
Nice.
It's everywhere. But it's really good. There are some definite moments that are like shocking, and do your research first because there's some touchy subjects with the deaths. But it's a really well done game. The writing's beautiful.
It sounds awesome.
Sounds very cool.
I'm like, I don't know how to transition into this next part because it's such a mood shift. I just need to say the number one game that I found on this advocate thing because it was cracking me up. And I'll just tell you the title first, and let's guess what you think this video game's about. It's called Dream Daddy.
Oh, no. Why does it sound like... Is it like from like the 2000s, like some weird computer game?
I'm not sure like when it's from. It looks like it's from the 2000s.
Oh, no.
Basically, it's like a dating game where you play a single gay dad who moves to a town called Maple Bay. And everyone else in the town is also a hot single gay dad.
Oh my goodness.
And it's called Dream Daddy.
How have I never heard of this?
I had never heard of it either, and I was dying that this is a real game.
I'm obsessed
and
with
I
that. Okay.
think it's garnered a lot of like social media attention because it's obviously ridiculous. Some of the characters are teacher dad, goth dad, or bad dad.
Wow.
So they sound very interesting.
How is there not a lesbian zaddy version is what I want to know.
Yeah. Dream Zaddy.
Dream Zaddy.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so there's all kinds of gay rep out there. Just want to spread the love. Not just lesbians or bisexual women. There's some gay men stuff out there.
Yeah, definitely. Oh my gosh. I have to find that.
Wow.
I know.
Wow.
All right, to wrap up, after Dream Daddy, which is a really good way, we've talked a little bit about this, but why do you personally think LGBTQ rep is important in video games?
I think it's important for us to see ourselves and to understand and to see that these games cost so much to make and these production budgets are so huge. And I think it's important for us to see ourselves star in a project that has huge financing because it means that it matters not only to the production companies, but the production companies understand that it's worth it to the audiences. Because there's so many, like I said, indie content is amazing. And I'm not going to knock any artistic freedom and creativity that entails. But I think it goes across gaming and film and TV until the big bucks are put behind LGBTQ storylines that are fleshed out and have amazing character arcs and they're not side characters. We're not going to fully see ourselves represented in the way that we should be. I'm waiting.
I'm curious, because it seems like obviously other people in the industry. Is there more queer rep behind the scenes that we don't than we know about? How much is there that you're aware of, or does it feel like there's still room to grow there as well?
I think it's getting more and more talked about. I think it's becoming something that's becoming more prevalent. I've been auditioning for things where, kind of like Assassin's Creed, there are more romance options and more gender fluid characters. I've auditioned for a couple projects like that I actually don't even know what they are because they don't tell you when you audition what you're auditioning for. I'm starting to see it come along and I'm starting to see it in the scripts that I receive, but I'm excited for a full-fledged gay character because I want to play one.
Yes.
You
Valerie
don't
for
think
a lead gay.
Please.
Wait, which Blazkowicz sister were you? You were Jess?
I'm Jess.
You don't think either of them were a little queer? Not even a little.
I have ideas.
There's room there.
There's room there. There's some room there. We'll see. I know how I would take it, but it's such a huge project that it goes through so many people and so many approvals that I have my own little fan fiction in my head. But
wait, which one is gay though in your head, or both of them?
I'd like Jess to be gay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Obviously,
I want to have those scenes. I know there's a whole backstory, though, and one of them's supposed to have a kid, so I don't know.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah, one of them is supposed to... There's a game called, Captain Key, and it, ties in. It's another 80s game that's getting refurbished and revitalized, and it has to tie in with our family. There's so much lore behind these games, it's insane. I have been part of this project for, a year and a half now, and I'm still learning new stuff. There's so much detail.
Nice.
So there's a lot there to sift through.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I think it's timely.
Mm-hmm.
Is it time?
Let's
my
do
God.
it.
Are you ready?
Get to our Q and Gay.
Are you ready for Q and Gay, Valerie?
I am. I'm excited.
Q and Gay. Okay. So Q and Gay, obviously, some of these we may have covered, some of them we may not have. But we'll get your official answers, and then all of our listeners can answer as well.
Awesome.
So, starting with question 1, what is the gayest video game out of A, The Sims, B, Dream Daddy, C, Assassin's Creed, or D, The Last of Us Left Behind?
It's gotta be Last of Us. It's gotta be. No, let me change
featuring Secret Star Ellie.
Yeah, I love. Yeah, it's that or Assassin's Creed, because the way my girlfriend's been playing it, it's pretty damn gay. It's a tie. It's a tie.
All right, we'll take it. Question number 2: are you a gamer? Yes or no?
Oh yes. Oh yes.
Nice.
Question 3, what was your favorite video game to play in your childhood? And I'm 100% gonna call out Ellie for having written this question.
For dating myself so hard.
I literally had to change one of them because I was like, come on, like, give me something that I played as a kid. All of these are, like, so much older.
I know. They're all 90s kids games. Sorry.
It's fine. Okay, what was your favorite video game to play in your childhood? Animal Crossing, Pokemon, Super Mario, or The Sims?
Probably Pokemon. I was a big Pokemon girl. I had a collection where I'd, like, win prizes at the fair for my Pokemon collection. So Pokemon for sure.
Wow,
oh, yeah.
We should have talked way more about that.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if there's any gay characters in Pokemon, but...
Not that I know
I guarantee you we could do a Pokemon should have been gay.
Ash and Brock, baby.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was, like, low-key stoked for the Pokemon movie. I finally saw it, Detective Pikachu.
Oh, you didn't like it?
Oh, no, I thought it was so cute. My friend Justice is the boy in it, and I thought it was so cute.
Yeah, I thought it was adorable. I just saw it, but I also fell asleep during it, but not because it was bad. I just was so tired.
Okay, fair enough.
And then I woke up at the end and was like, wait, and I won't spoil the twist, but I was like, oh my God, I can't believe that happened.
Yeah, that was a great ending.
I literally woke up, like, at the twist, and I was like, oh okay, cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But it was great. It was very heartfelt. And I thought Ryan Reynolds was actually an amazing Pikachu.
He was so good in that part.
Yeah.
So good.
I liked it a lot.
And the animation of Pikachu was so cute.
Yeah.
I'm obsessed with it.
It was awesome. All right. Question number 4. What type of game is your fave? A, platform. B, puzzles. C, racing. Or D, first-person shooter?
Probably A, platform. Yeah.
Good call.
No, probably racing then, because I love a good, like, Super Mario.
Mario Kart,
my favorite platform game is called Little Big Planet, and it's one of the only games I have successfully gotten Kelsey to ever play with me, and it's because there's literally, like, 2 buttons. You can do almost nothing in the game, but, like, run back and forth and, like, jump. And grab, so you can grab stuff, I guess. But you play as you're like a little sack, like a hacky sack boy, like a little hacky sack dude.
Okay.
And you pick up costumes, and you get to dress your little hacky sack dude.
That's so
And that's, like, 90% of the game is just, like, dressing your little sack boy.
Oh
and I did get her to play that with me for a little bit.
Is that a gay game, Lee?
It's so cute.
You know, all I'm going to say is they do not put a lot of restrictions on what you can make your sack boy look like. So...
I know that.
I really don't like the word sack boy. It makes me feel uncomfortable. But
they're super cute, though. You should look them up. They're adorable.
All right, I'm
cute.
sure if I look up sack boy, it will not give me good Google search results. So
I mean, if you Google sack boy Little Big Planet, it might.
All right, all right.
Just
number
no space,
5.
no space in there.
Please. Number 5 is the most important question.
Okay.
Who would you date in Dream Daddy? A, the teacher dad. B, the goth dad. Or C, bad dad.
Probably C, bad dad.
Right?
Ooh.
Yeah.
What would your girlfriend say?
She'd be irritated. She'd be very irritated. She'd be like,
bad dad does sound like the hottest one.
Yeah. Most adventurous, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Remember, everyone, you can give us your own answers to this episode's Q&A questions on our Twitter at Let's Hang Out Pod. And speaking of social media, Valerie, where can everyone find you?
On everything except for Twitter, I am at Valerie Rose Lohman, and on Twitter, I'm at Valerie Lohman.
Perfect. And do you have any projects coming up that you want to let our audience know about?
I have a couple appearances coming up that are TBD, so I can't talk about them yet, so keep an eye on the social medias, and I have a couple projects that are going to be announced sooner rather than later. I have a short film that I wrote that I am editing right now that'll be hitting
cool.
hopefully hitting festivals soon.
Can we get like a teaser what it's about?
It's really short. It's a micro short, and it's about 3 girls in Victorian era England that are trying to conjure a spirit to get back at some very bitchy girl.
I love it.
Yeah,
Love it. Sold.
Yeah, lots of special effects and rituals and blood. So
very awesome.
I'm excited.
We love a good witchy film.
We love
we
so.
do.
Yes. Also on our social media, Valerie will be doing an Instagram story takeover, so make sure you follow us on Instagram for her story takeover, and email us at leshangoutpod@gmail.com if you have any questions for her about video games or any of her upcoming projects.
Valerie, thank you so much for hanging out. This was amazing.
Thank you. I had such a great time.
Let me hear you say hip, 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 well, yeah.
We love hearing from you and building community, so we want to shout out some of our favorite things each episode. And of course, we just got back from the weekend soiree, so what would we be if we did not shout out the weekend soiree? I want to specifically shout out all of the people who run the weekend soiree. It is a crazy ton of work to put on a conference, and to put on a conference that was so intentional, that was so welcoming to all identities, that really put queer women of color at the forefront. It was such an amazing weekend, and I know that there's so much that goes into it. So I want to say a big shout out to MDOT, to Grant, to Melissa, to Heather, to all of the team from the weekend soiree. We had the best time. I also want to shout out all of the people that we got to meet at the weekend soiree, a lot of new listeners, a lot of people who have seen the show before, and we also have talked to a bunch of people to get a lot of new guests on the show. So we're so excited for you all to really get to know the people that we got to know this weekend, who were just some pretty badass queer women. So yeah, we're very excited, and we want to say thank you to the weekend soiree for hosting us, and just how happy we were to get to connect with all of the people who were all there for the same reason. As always, we have to thank our Lesbian Jesus patrons, Lizette Stye, Tanya Ferguson, Jess Klaus, Danny Griswold, Michelle Ray Thomas, Sarah and Julia, Nicole Gross, Carrie Ann Lawrence, Mark Foster, Danny Gunlock Tamora, Sammy Walsh, Audrey O'Connor, and Wendy K. Bartlett. And our 2 King Princess patrons, Kayla Kelly and Amy and Ellen. Thank you so much for supporting us. We could not do the things that we do without you. We would not have the funds to go and see all of these amazing queer women at the weekend soiree. So we just want to thank you and let you know you are the ones that really keep us running and keep us growing. So thank you so much for being a patron, and we hope to see more of you there. Remember, you can also find us on all of the social medias, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Les Hangout Pod. Email us at leshangoutpod@gmail.com or check out our website at leshangoutpod.com. Make sure you subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts so you'll be the first to know when new episodes drop. We'll also be posting videos to our YouTube channel this season, so make sure you subscribe at youtube.com/leshangoutpod to catch them. If you want to support the podcast, thank you so much to all of you who already do all of these things. But if you haven't yet, you can rate and review us on iTunes. It really helps other people to find the podcast, and it helps push us further up in searches. And we also just love hearing what you have to say. If you want to support us financially, you can do that on bit.ly/lespatreon. We have so many cool perks for you there. A lot of community building things, our private Facebook group, our Discord chat, viewing parties, ad-free episodes. There's so much going on our Patreon, and we would love to see you there as well. If you want to get some merch, it is not too early now to start getting your Christmas things in order. If you want to get a Homo for the Holidays sweater, you can get that at bit.ly/lesshop. I have one. I love it. It's so comfy. It's so cozy. And it's so gay. And subtle. People, your grandparents will come up to you and be like, "Oh, honey, what a lovely shirt. Homo for the, okay." But if you want to get that, you can get that at bit.ly/lesshop.
If you want to follow us individually, the best place to find me is on Twitter and Instagram at LSHFoster.
And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at EllieBrigida. With that, I'm Ellie.
And I'm Lee.
And let's hang out again soon.
Let's hang out.
Ladies and gentlemen.
What are you doing?
What do you mean? I'm making
Just keep it simple.
I'm making the promo.
Just keep it simple. Just say, hey, we're the Brav Bros. Two guys that talk about Bravo.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we're the Brav Bros.
No.
Oh.
Dude, stop with the voice. Just keep it simple.
I've seen promos on TV, dude. This is how you get the fans engaged. This is how you get listeners. We're trying to get listeners here. If we just say, oh, we're two dudes that talk about Bravo, people are going to get tired of it already. We need some oomph.
All right, then fine. Let's try to do it with your voice.
Brav Bros.
Good job.